listeners.
Chatty Chappies.
Here we are again.
Chatty Chappies.
Chatty Chappies.
Chatty Chappies.
Chatty Chappies.
Brian and Andrew on
Chatty Chappies.
Thank you for turning on Chatty Chappies. Andy and Brian are recent friends who are discovering similar interests and just like chatting about all kinds of things from music to vehicles, spirituality to writing, but seldom football. No, never soccer. I mean, never football.
Chatty Chappies.
You are listening to Andrew and Brian on Chatty Chappies.
Well, here we are. Look. Oh, this is getting, we're getting good at this.
Boy, man. The days just zoom past, don't they?
They do indeed. It's soon going to be Christmas.
Yeah, it's going to be Christmas. We'll need to do something for Christmas.
We will. We'll have to talk about that. And, But last time we were speaking, we were talking about the Branseer and his terrible death.
Yes.
And
that was Shannery Point.
At Shannery Point there out at Fortress. Mm-hmm. And I think there's actually a plaque in a stone.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, here's something for you. The stone in the plaque wasn't originally there. They moved it in the 1960s.
Did they?
Yes.
Where was it originally?
Oh, it was in the area, but I think to do with roads and such
right,
like.
Okay.
Maybe it's so people could see the dolphins easier.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
because it's a very good place to see dolphins.
Yeah. Here's me making fun of the poor chap. Burnt in a barrel of tar. Not nice.
That is not a nice way to go. Nice. And especially as he'd done nothing wrong.
No.
You just had upset your employer.
Lady Seaforth got the myth about what his sarky comment was.
Yeah.
So beware.
Yeah, there you go.
But here is the connection with a few weeks back we talked about mentioning the Mrs. Stewart-Mackenzie.
Yes.
And so it's Mary Elizabeth Frederica.
Frederica, wow.
She's got some name. And she is like third or fourth generation from the Seaforths. Okay,
right.
And she is linked to this Branseer prophecy. I'm not sure how it works. That's for you to find out.
Yeah, you guys
find out what's going on here.
What was the Branseer's prophecy about a lady from Uig in Lewis?
Not quite. No. Can I explain that?
Yeah, go on.
So the Mackenzies have lots of land in Ross-shire, and this woman, let's just call her Mary because that's her name. Mary's comes from the Mackenzies in Cromarty.
Yes.
But the Mackenzies have lots of land, and you'll probably know this from the Highland Way that in the summertime you would go to the different part of the land.
Yeah.
Shieling.
Yes.
You would go to the shieling. Well, the Mackenzie had so much land that their shieling was the Isle of Lewis.
Right.
So she does have a connection with Lewis, and in fact she goes to Lewis over the summer times, and she has lots of connections on the island. Anyway, she's also known as the Hooded Lass.
Yes.
And that's because she was married to Sir Samuel Hood, and she was actually married twice.
Okay.
And her second husband was James Alexander Stewart, and that's where she gets the Stewart-Mackenzie.
She was Mrs. Stewart-Mackenzie.
Yeah. And she had 5 children, and what else? Lots of things about her. We'll come back to that. So Mrs. Mackenzie, she's on the island of Lewis, and she is having preachers come.
Okay, right. Itinerant preachers coming to the island to
preach. And in fact, people seem to think that she was the first person to get what some people would call an evangelical preacher into Lewis. And one of these preachers was an Alexander MacLeod.
Okay.
So Alexander MacLeod is a Church of Scotland preacher, and she's persuaded the authorities.
Now, would these be lay preachers or were they
He was part of the Church of Scotland,
Scotland?
so he would have got something. You know, it would be a few pounds a year at that point, and so he's preaching in Uig, and there's a revival starts there.
Right,
Yeah. And so she's instrumental in getting evangelical preachers into the island. One of the first preachers is Alexander MacLeod, and a revival starts in Uig. Now, we haven't got time to go into his story, but we do know that at some point after the disruption, where
1843.
that's the one, 1843. After the disruption, he's actually in Rogart in Sutherland.
Okay.
And he's the minister in the church, the Free Church, because he joins the Free Church in 1846. He's in the church there, and he's actually buried in Rogart.
Okay.
In Rogart.
Wow.
So what was I going to say? Oh yes, the interesting thing about this woman is she's running like Bible studies
Okay.
for women
In
1800s.
In the 1800s. Wow.
You know, and for a woman to have a leadership role in the church on her own
Mm-hmm.
is remarkable. So she must have been a strong person.
Yeah,
Strong
absolutely.
person.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there we are. We're going to ask you, go away and do your homework.
Yeah.
What was it the Brand Seer said about? We want to know what
Oh, yeah.
it was the Brand Seer had foretold about the Hooded Lady or
The
Mrs.
Mackenzies.
the Mackenzies or Mrs. Stewart-Mackenzie.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that prophecy of doom to the Mackenzies,
Mm-hmm.
and why or how is she involved in this 3 generations later? Now, just before we go, there is a painting by Sir Thomas Lawrence of the Hooded Lady.
Where?
And
National Gallery of Scotland?
no, well, the last I knew, it was actually in something like the Town Hall in Fortrose.
All right.
Maybe
okay.
we should find out if it's still there.
Let's go for a wee day trip.
A wee day trip
We
to
could do a wee-
Fortrose.
Outside broadcast.
And we could go down to the Shannon Point and see the moved stone with
Yeah.
the plaque.
Yeah,
And then dolphins as well.
hopefully.
Yeah, great. That's
And fish and chips at Fortrose.
all right. Fish and chips at Fortrose. There you go. And maybe you want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if we met them
We
on
all
the roads?
met. We all met. Yeah. An open air meeting at Channery Point.
Yeah, yeah. And we could pay our respects to the Mackenzies,
Mhm.
the Brand Seer, and Lord and Lady Seaforth,
Yeah.
and the Hooded Lady.
And the Hooded
There we
Lady.
go.
The Hooded Lady.
Oh, look at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another one's gone
There we
past.
go. Right. And what we always say is, do your research.
Do your research.
Find
do
out.
your research. Find out about it.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
You were listening to another program of Chatty Chappies.